Hey guys, tonight we're slithering into the perilous, misunderstood life of an animal you think you know, the king cobra. You've probably seen it in documentaries, hood flared, rising like a mythical beast, the undisputed ruler of its jungle domain. But trust me, being the world's longest venomous snake isn't a life of effortless royalty. It's a high-stakes, venom-fueled gamble, a daily tightrope walk between starvation and becoming someone else's meal. And in many ways, it is a constant, exhausting battle for survival. So as we settle in, feel free to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy the stories we share here. Let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from and what time it is in your part of the world. It's always amazing to see who's joining us from all across the globe. Now dim the lights, maybe listen for the quiet hum of the forest outside your window, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Your first memory is darkness, a tight, leathery curve pressing in on all sides. You're folded in on yourself, a 50-centimetre long knot of potential, floating in a muffled world. There's no warmth from a doting parent, only the faint, humid heat of decaying leaves packed around you. This isn't a womb, it's a tomb you have to break out of. An instinct you don't understand tells you to push, to tear. You press a special spike on your snout, your egg tooth, against the wall of your prison. You scrape and you strain, your tiny muscles burning with an effort you've never known. Finally the shell gives way. Light, blinding and green slices into your world. You spill out not into a gentle welcome, but into a writhing pile of identical siblings, all slick and shimmering, all fighting their way out of their own eggs. This isn't a family reunion, it's your first and most immediate threat. These aren't your brothers and sisters, they are competitors, 50 centimetres of deadly venom just like you. Your own DNA screams a single, primal command: flee. The nest itself, a two-chambered mound of rotting vegetation, was painstakingly built by your mother. It was her one and only act of parental care. And her final act was to leave just before you hatched, because if she were here now, her own nature would compel her to eat you. Her scent lingers in the damp air. Not a comforting aroma, but a warning, a promise of danger. So you scramble. You push past the squirming bodies of your siblings, driven by pure, unthinking terror. You don't look back. You slither through the leaf litter, over twigs and under ferns, putting as much distance as you can between you and the only home you've ever known. Congratulations. You've escaped the death trap of your own birth. You're 5 minutes old, utterly alone, and every single thing in this forest, from the eagle in the sky to the mongoose in the undergrowth, now wants to kill you. And as you move, something new begins, an involuntary tick. Your tongue, black and forked, flicks from your mouth, tasting the air. For you, the world isn't a collection of sounds or sights. It's a map made of scent, and you are its frantic, desperate cartographer. Every particle that sticks to your tongue is a word in a language you were born knowing. You press it to the roof of your mouth, where two small pits decipher the information. This isn't just smelling. This is reading the history of the last few hours, written in a ghost language of molecules. That's the lingering trail of a beetle. That's the sharp tang of a rival hatchling that went left instead of right. And that's the faint, musky perfume of a predator. The scent is old, but not old enough for comfort. Your ears are practically useless for airborne sounds. The birdsong, the chitter of monkeys, the rustle of wind through the canopy, it's all a silent movie to you. But your whole body is an ear. You feel the world through your jaw, laid flat against the damp earth. The footstep of a distant deer isn't a sound. It's a rhythmic, deep vibration that travels through the mud and into your bones. It's a low thrum that tells you something big is moving, and you are very, very small. You are building a picture of your surroundings from these fractured pieces of information. A flicker of taste here, a shiver in the ground there, a blur of movement your eyes catch 100 meters away. Your brain, no bigger than a grain of rice, is a supercomputer, constantly processing, analyzing and running one simple program: flee, hide, or freeze. Your forked tongue darts out again, left teen, right tine. It tells you the predator's scent is stronger to the east. And so, you go west, a tiny black thread unravelling through the chaos of the forest floor, tasting your way toward another minute of life. That frantic scramble west pays off. The predator's scent fades into the background noise of the forest, and for a moment you are safe from being eaten. But as the immediate fear subsides, a deeper, colder problem sets in. The morning air is cool, and for you, that isn't just uncomfortable, it's crippling. You're a solar-powered engine with a dead battery. Your mind might scream move, but your muscles obey in slow motion, stiff and unresponsive like cold clay. Every twitch is an effort. Every thought takes an eternity to translate into action. In this state, you're not a venomous predator. You're just a long, cold piece of meat waiting for something with warmer blood to find you. There is only one solution: the sun. You need to find a patch of direct light, a place where the canopy breaks and the day's heat can reach the forest floor. But the sun lives in the open. To find warmth is to abandon cover. It means slithering out from the safety of the undergrowth and exposing your tiny, shimmering body. Out there, your dark scales, so perfect for vanishing into shadow, become a bold black line painted on a green and brown canvas. You might as well be a dinner invitation, scrawled in capital letters for the serpent eagle circling, unseen, high above. But you have no choice. You find a sliver of gold light cutting through the leaves and you flatten yourself against the warming earth. The heat soaks into your scales. It's not just a feeling, it's an awakening. You can feel the cold sludge in your veins thin and begin to move. Your muscles unlock. Your brain comes fully online. Your tongue flicks with a new, sharp confidence. You're no longer a victim waiting to happen. You are alive. But the sun isn't your friend. It's a fickle, dangerous power source. The gentle warmth quickly becomes a searing blaze. The ground beneath you turns into a hot plate, and the heat that woke you up now threatens to cook you from the inside out. The panic is instant. Your engine is redlining. You have to move now. You scramble desperately for the cool darkness under a fallen log or the damp shadow of a fern, your body screaming for relief. And this is your day. This is every day. A frantic metabolic dance, from the shade to the sun, and from the sun back to the shade. A constant pendulum swinging between being too cold to move and too hot to live. This isn't a choice. It's the rhythm that will dictate every single minute you manage to survive. And with that fragile balance of temperature achieved, the real work can begin. The work of putting distance between you and a world that sees you as a morsel. But you don't just glide through the forest. That's a fantasy. You labour. Every inch of your 50-centimetre length is a precision-engineered muscle, and you use all of it. This isn't a graceful slide, it's a gruelling, full-body workout. You push off the side of a half-buried stone, find purchase on a rough piece of bark, anchor your tail and drive your head forward. Your belly scales, tough as they are, scrape against the grit and grime of the forest floor. It's an endless series of controlled shoves, a serpentine crawl that costs you precious, hard-won calories with every foot you cover. You. The world isn't built to your scale. A decaying log that a mongoose would step over is to you a mountain range. Going around it means exposing yourself in the open for too long. So you go over. You drive your head upward, scales catching on the rough bark like tiny climbing hooks, and you pull. It's a slow, vertical grind, your whole body locked in a struggle against gravity. You're a single, coordinated muscle, trembling with an exertion that feels like it could tear you in two. You reach a stream. To a human, it's a gentle trickle. To you, it's a churning brown river. The current grabs you instantly, a cold, powerful hand trying to drag you out of the shallows and into the terrifying open middle. You fight it. You whip your tail in a frantic, desperate rhythm, your muscles burning with a new kind of fire. You're not swimming. You're battling a force that wants to tear you from your path and deliver you, exhausted and helpless, to a patient heron downstream. You finally drag yourself onto the muddy bank, shivering and spent. You've travelled maybe 30 metres, and in doing so, you've burned a terrifying amount of the energy you so carefully collected from that patch of sun. The warmth is already fading. Your real fuel tank, the one that runs on food, is still on empty. And every move you make, every log you climb, every current you fight pushes it one step closer to zero. That energy deficit isn't some abstract concept. It's a cold, hollow ache in your long, empty gut. It's a new kind of panic, duller than the fear of a predator but more persistent. You can hide from an eagle, you can outmaneuver a mongoose, but you cannot escape the brutal math of your own metabolism. The engine is running on fumes, and if you don't find fuel, it will simply shut down. And you're not built to eat just anything. You ignore the fat beetle scuttling past, the juicy lizard sunning itself on a rock. Your DNA has written a different menu for you. You're an ophiophagus, a snake eater. Your destiny is to hunt the one thing in this forest that is shaped just like you, a slithering muscular tube of pure survival instinct. Your tongue tastes it before your eyes see it. A fresh trail, another snake, smaller than you, but a snake nonetheless. The hunt begins, but it's not a chase. It's a slow, painstaking stalk. Your body flattens against the leaf litter, every movement deliberate, every pause a calculation. You are a predator now, but you're also still prey. Exposing yourself to strike is a gamble that could get you killed from above. You inch closer. You see it now, a small keelback, blissfully unaware, tasting the air for its own meal. There is no bravado, no feeling of dominance. There is only a cold, buzzing focus. You coil, a tiny spring of black muscle, your entire being narrowed to a single point, and then you explode forward. Your jaws, needle-sharp, clamp down. But this is not an easy kill. The keelback fights back. It thrashes, twisting its body around yours, a chaotic knot of desperation. It bites you, its own tiny teeth scraping harmlessly against your tough scales. But the message is clear. Nothing in this world dies quietly. You hold on, wrestling with your own meal, pumping a dose of your precious, potent venom into its flesh. For a moment that feels like an eternity. It's not clear who is winning. Then, the thrashing slows. The fight drains away and the little snake goes limp. It's over. But the work has just begun. You release your grip, find its head, and begin the grotesque, laborious process of swallowing. Your jaws unhinge, stretching impossibly wide as you slowly, painstakingly, inch your victim down your throat. It's a huge, awkward lump, a bulge in your sleek profile that will make you clumsy and vulnerable for hours. But it is fuel. The hollow ache is gone. You have just eaten your first killer, and in doing so have bought yourself another few days of life. But those tiny victories against hatchling-sized snakes are a lifetime ago. You are bigger now, 3 meters of polished olive-green muscle, and with that size comes a new kind of hunger, a need for a meal that is more than just a snack, a meal that fights back. The process doesn't begin with a chase, it begins with patience. Your tongue, a silent black fork, tastes the humid air, and there it is. Not just a scent, but a story. The greasy, heavy trail of a rat snake, thick and fresh, big. A proper meal. Your world narrows, the symphony of the jungle fades to a dull hum. There is only the trail and the creature at the end of it. You move with a liquid grace that belies the tension coiling in your body. Every push against the earth is measured. Every pause is a calculation. You see it now, a thick python-like beast sunning itself on a bed of warm rock. And in that moment, the patient stalker vanishes. You become an explosion. You don't strike from afar. You lunge, covering the last few feet in a single, terrifying blur of motion. The impact is jarring. Your fangs, now long and brutally efficient, punch through its tough scales. You've hit your mark. But if you thought the bite was the end of the fight, you were wrong. It's just the beginning. The rat snake erupts. It's not venomous, but it possesses a raw, desperate power you can feel in your bones. It wraps its thick body around yours, a constricting band of pure muscle, intent on squeezing the air from your lungs, on breaking your ribs. You're locked in a brutal embrace with your own dinner. Your only job is to hold on, jaws clamped with excruciating pressure, and let your venom do its work. It thrashes you against the rocks. The world is a chaotic whirl of pain and pressure, but you do not let go. After an eternity, its struggles weaken, the coils loosen. You release your jaw, backing away just enough to be safe, and now you wait. You follow from a distance, your tongue tasting the air for the metallic tang of its blood, and the signature scent of your own venom working its way through its veins. It's a grim, patient pursuit. You watch as it stumbles, disoriented, its nervous system shutting down. Finally, it collapses. The silence that follows isn't peaceful. It's the sound of exhaustion. You have your meal, but the fight has cost you. And this was a successful hunt. You don't feel triumph. You feel a deep, bone-weary exhaustion. You won, but it cost you. And now comes the prize, which also happens to be the punishment. The dead weight of the rat snake lies before you, a massive deposit of calories you desperately need. But to claim it, you have to perform an act that will push your body to its absolute limit. You start at its head, nosing it into position. Then comes the slow, grotesque process of ingestion. Your jaws, connected by elastic ligaments, stretch and dislocate, moving independently as you walk your mouth over your victim. It's less like eating and more like pulling a thick, heavy sock over yourself from the inside out. Your own skin screams in protest, stretching so tight you can see the shape of the rat snake's body moving down your throat like a sickening slow-motion python in a cartoon. This isn't the quick swallow of a hatchling's meal. This takes hours. Hours of straining, of your organs being compressed and shoved aside, of your breathing becoming shallow and difficult. The world outside disappears. There is only the inch-by-inch struggle to consume this thing that is almost as big as you are. And when it's finally over, when the last of its tail disappears and your jaws painfully snap back into place, you are transformed. You are no longer a sleek, deadly predator. You're a bloated, heavy, barely mobile tube of meat, with a 3-foot-long lump distending your midsection. You can't coil properly. You can't strike with any speed. Fleeing is out of the question. You drag yourself forward, your belly so full and heavy it feels like you're hauling a bag of rocks. This is your most vulnerable moment. To any predator, a mongoose, a crocodile, even a wild boar, you are a defenseless meal, too slow to run, too full to fight. A panic, deep and cold, sets in. You have to disappear. You have to find a hole, a burrow, a dark, tight space to cram your swollen body into before something finds you. You crawl, laboriously, toward the dark embrace of a hollow log, every inch a monumental effort. You wedge yourself inside, the rough wood scraping against your overstretched scales. And now you wait. For days, maybe weeks, you will lie here in a comatose state, a prisoner of your own meal. Your body's entire focus is the slow, acidic breakdown of the snake inside you. You don't rest. You simply exist, hoping the vibrations you feel through the earth are just the forest going about its business, and not the footsteps of something that has come to collect the price of your gluttony. The days in that log blur into a warm, dark, metabolic stupor, but eventually the massive bulge inside you dissolves, the crushing pressure eases, the hollow ache returns. Weak, but lighter, you finally uncoil and venture back out into the light, and you emerge into a world that hasn't missed you at all. The forest is exactly as you left it. The silence of your digestive tomb is no different from the silence of your everyday existence. You are a king, and your kingdom is an empire of one. You patrol the boundaries of your territory, a home range that can span several square kilometers. Your tongue flicks, constantly reading the scent stories left on leaves and twigs. Rat snake, monitor lizard, deer, familiar words. And then you taste a new sentence. It's pungent, powerful, and unmistakably familiar. It's the scent of another king cobra. This isn't a moment for connection. It's a threat alarm. Every instinct in your body tightens. You follow the scent not with the predatory focus of a hunt, but with the cold, tense caution of a soldier entering hostile territory. And then you see it. Another olive-green giant just like you, basking on a patch of sun that you consider yours. There is no greeting, no acknowledgement. There is only a slow, deliberate escalation. You both rise, lifting the front third of your bodies straight into the air like dark scepters. Your neck ribs flare, stretching the skin into that iconic, intimidating hood. You're no longer just snakes. You're twin symbols of death, facing each other in perfect, terrifying symmetry. You sway, locked in a silent, hypnotic duel. This isn't a dance. It's a negotiation written in menace. You let out a low, guttural hiss, a sound that vibrates through your own bones more than it travels through the air. It's not a shriek of anger. It's a cold statement of fact. This is my space. Leave. The other snake answers with its own growl. It's a game of nuclear chicken, where the first one to flinch loses territory, and the first one to strike risks everything. Even a winning fight can leave you with a venomous bite that will kill you an hour later. Minutes stretch into an eternity. You stare, unblinking, assessing its size, its confidence, the subtle tells in the way it holds its head. Is it worth it? The answer, today, is no. Slowly, deliberately, the other snake lowers its hood. It deflates, its power vanishing. It holds your gaze for another moment, then turns and glides away into the undergrowth, a silent admission of defeat. You stand tall a moment longer, your hood flared, ensuring it's truly gone. Then you too relax. There is no triumph, no feeling of victory, just the quiet, stark relief of having your solitude return to you. You are alone again, as you were meant to be. That quiet relief is a dangerous drug. For a moment, basking in the reclaimed silence of your territory, you feel like the world has bent back to its proper shape. You are the unchallenged power here, a 3-meter god of the undergrowth, but that feeling is an illusion, and it shatters not with a roar but with a flicker. It's a blur of motion at the edge of your vision, a darting shape of brown fur that moves with an unnatural speed. You freeze. Your tongue tastes the air, but the scent is confusing. A hot, musky scent of mammal, but woven with a kind of crackling, electric energy. It's a mongoose, and it knows you're here. It's not big, barely the length of your skull, but it carries itself with a chittering, insolent confidence that makes your blood run cold. This is not a creature in awe of you. This is not prey. This is something else entirely. Your ancient programming kicks in. You rise, flaring your hood to its full, magnificent breadth, a dark shield designed to send terror into the heart of any living thing. You issue your low, vibrating growl, the one that makes the very ground tremble. And the mongoose does not care. It dances just at the edge of your striking range, a twitching, taunting blur of fur and teeth. It feints left, then right, its little black eyes locked on your head. All your warnings, all your displays of power, they mean nothing. It's like threatening a storm. Frustration, and a feeling you haven't felt since you were a tiny hatchling, begins to coil in your gut. Fear. You can't wait. You have to end this. You gather all your strength, all your speed, all your focus, and you lunge. It's a strike that can cross feet in the blink of an eye, a strike that has ended every fight you've ever chosen to have. Your fangs are bared, ready to deliver a flood of neurotoxin. And you bite nothing but warm, humid air. The mongoose was there, and then it simply wasn't. It's already behind you, to your left, dancing again. The shock is paralyzing. Your greatest weapon, the one thing that defines your power, has failed. And in that moment, the entire dynamic shifts. You're no longer the predator. It lunges at you, a biting, slashing chaos of claws and teeth. You recoil, clumsy and slow, trying to keep your head away from its attack. This isn't a fight for territory. This is an assassination, and you are the one on the block. The chilling realization sinks in. Its speed is a weapon your venom can't touch, and its body is naturally resistant to the poison that does land. There is no winning. There is only surviving. You abandon all pretense of royalty. Your hood collapses. Your regal posture vanishes. You crash backward, turning and fleeing into the undergrowth with a desperation you haven't felt in years. You're no longer a king. You're just a long, terrified creature running for its life, the sound of that chittering mockery chasing you through the shadows. You've just met one of the only things in this jungle that you must genuinely, unequivocally fear. That desperate, panicked flight through the undergrowth leaves a scar on your psyche. The chittering mockery of the mongoose echoes in your mind long after the scent has faded. It's a chilling lesson you will never forget. Your venom, your speed, your power, it's not a guarantee. A direct fight, even one you survive, is a catastrophic risk. And so you learn, with a new and profound respect, the value of the art you've been practicing your whole life, the art of the threat. Let's be clear. Fighting is for losers. It's a messy, unpredictable, and costly business. Your entire survival strategy is built around making sure it never comes to that. and your primary tool is not your fangs, but the magnificent, terrifying theatre you create with your own body. It starts with the rise. You lift your head and a third of your body off the ground, a living periscope of silent warning. Then, you unlock the muscles in your neck and allow your specialized ribs to fan outward. This is your iconic hood. It's not an act of aggression. It's a question posed to the universe. Are you absolutely sure you want to do this? You transform yourself from a simple snake into a monstrous, mythic silhouette, a dark shield that seems impossibly large, impossibly wide. It's a bluff, a high-stakes poker game where you're betting everything on your opponent's fear. And if the visual isn't enough, you add the soundtrack. You don't just hiss. Any snake can hiss. You growl. A deep, low-frequency vibration that you produce not just in your throat, but with special resonating chambers in your windpipe. It's a sound that feels ancient and wrong, a sound that doesn't just travel through the air but through the ground and into the bones of whatever is threatening you. It is the sound of a closing tomb. This entire performance has one goal: to get the other creature to back down without you having to spend a single drop of your precious golden venom. That venom is your currency, is what you use to buy a meal. Wasting it defensively on a creature you might not even kill is like setting your life savings on fire. A defensive bite that empties your glands could mean weeks of being unable to hunt effectively, pushing you closer to that cold, hollow starvation you know so well. Your power isn't in the bite, it's in convincing the world that the bite isn't worth it. But let's say the bluff doesn't work. Let's talk about what happens when the theatre fails and the curtain rises on the main event. Let's talk about that bite. Because the venom you carry is not some crude, brutish weapon. It is a masterpiece of evolutionary engineering, a liquid ghost designed for one purpose: to quietly and efficiently turn off the lights. It's a neurotoxin. It doesn't burn, it doesn't dissolve, it doesn't create a gruesome, bloody mess. That would be messy and inefficient. Instead, your venom is a key slipping into the lock of your victim's nervous system. When you bite, you don't just prick and retreat. You hold on, pumping it in, a flood of it. That venom bypasses the muscles, ignores the bones, and goes straight for the command center. It quietly tells the nerves to stop talking to the muscles. It tells the diaphragm to stop pulling in air. The heart may still beat for a while, but the victim is already gone, paralyzed in a silent internal shutdown. This is why you don't need to be stronger than your prey. You don't need to crush a rat snake or outmuscle a monitor lizard. You just need to deliver the message. And this is why you guard it so jealously. This deadly cocktail isn't something you find. It's something you make. It's brewed in your own glands at a tremendous metabolic cost. Every golden, viscous drop is a piece of that rat snake you spent hours swallowing, a piece of the energy you painstakingly soaked up from the sun. To waste it on a defensive bite against something you won't eat is to pour your own life force out onto the forest floor. A full envenomation can leave your glands depleted for days, maybe longer, turning you from an apex predator into a toothless wanderer, unable to hunt with that old, familiar hollow ache slowly returning to your gut. This venom is your ultimate power, but it is also your leash. It is the tool that allows you to eat, and it is the burden that forces you to be so very, very careful. That venom may be the ultimate power, but the cost of maintaining your body doesn't stop there. There are other, more unavoidable taxes, and this one doesn't come from a gland. It comes from the very skin you live in. It starts as a subtle wrongness, a dullness to your own magnificent scales. The olive green sheen that signals your health and power begins to look dusty and faded. You feel tight, like you're wearing a suit that's a size too small, and every movement is a strain against the fabric. And then the real nightmare begins. It creeps into your vision. A bluish-white fog starts to bloom from the inside out, turning the world of sharp greens and browns into a watercolour painting left out in the rain. The clear protective shields over your eyes, the reason you never blink, have become opaque. Your windows to the world have been painted over with milk. You are functionally blind. That darting blur of a mongoose, you wouldn't see it until it was already on you. The shadow of a serpent eagle, a meaningless smudge in a bright blurry sky. Your senses are muffled, your connection to the world severed. You are a king trapped inside a failing body, a prisoner in your own skin. There is only one response to this level of vulnerability. You disappear. You find a damp, dark burrow, a crevice under the roots of a great tree, and you coil yourself into the darkness. You become a recluse, a ghost in your own territory, waiting. For days you lie there in a state of sensory deprivation, feeling nothing but the maddening itch of the dead skin separating from the new. Finally you can bear it no longer. You emerge, find a rough surface, a sharp rock, the edge of a fallen log, and you begin to rub. You push your face against it, desperately, until the old skin around your snout tears. Then comes the slow, exhausting work of crawling out of yourself. The old you peels away, turning inside out in a single perfect translucent tube. And in an instant the world comes rushing back. The colours are so sharp they hurt. The light is blinding. Your new scales gleam with a painful brilliance, and every sensation feels raw and new. You are reborn. But you won't forget the days you spent as a blind, helpless prisoner, waiting for the world to come back into focus. With your new skin gleaming and your vision piercingly clear, you feel a kind of power you hadn't realised you'd lost. The world isn't just sharp again, it's alive with information. And then, cutting through the familiar sense of damp earth and decaying leaves, a new signal arrives on your tongue. It's a scent that rewrites all your priorities. It's not food, it's not a threat, it's the intoxicating, unmistakable trail of a female. The solitude you prize evaporates. Every instinct in your 3-meter body now pulls you in one direction. You follow the trail, a single-minded pilgrim, until you find him. Another male, just as large, just as powerful, drawn by the same irresistible summons. In the past, a silent threat display would have settled this. One of you would have backed down, but not this time. The stakes are different. This isn't about territory. This is about your entire genetic future. There is no growling, no bluffing. You both rise, locking eyes, and in a silent accord the brutal ballet begins. You intertwine, your bodies wrapping around each other in a living caduceus of coiled muscle. This is not a fight to the death. Your fangs, your golden venom, they play no part in this. To bite would be to risk an equally fatal bite in return, a game of mutually assured destruction that evolution has taught you to avoid. This is a contest of pure strength. It's a grueling, full-body wrestling match that can last for hours. Scales scrape against scales, muscles burn with an acid fire you've never known, and your sides heave with the effort of breathing. Your only goal is to push, to leverage, to force his head to the ground in an act of absolute submission. You strain against each other, a slow-motion storm of olive-green power. He shoves you back, you drive him forward, the world disappears. There is only the heaving, straining body wrapped around yours, and the desperate, primal need to win. Finally, after an eternity of exertion, you feel his strength falter. With a final agonizing push, you press his head into the forest floor. He stays there for a moment, defeated, then uncoils and slinks away into the undergrowth. You have won. But as you lower yourself back to the ground, your body trembles with a catastrophic exhaustion. You are the victor, but you are utterly spent, every muscle screaming, a vulnerable, gasping wreck left in the quiet of the forest. And the female you fought for? She's still nowhere in sight. You are the victor, trembling on the forest floor. The fight is won, the rival gone. But there is no ceremony here, no triumphant roar. There is only a crippling, bone-deep exhaustion. The female's scent is still on the air, but your body is a wreck, a screaming bundle of torn muscles and spent energy. This victory feels no different from the aftermath of swallowing a rat snake that was almost too big, or fleeing the chittering madness of a mongoose. It's the same tax levied on survival, a price you pay just to make it to the next moment. You didn't conquer your rival, you simply outlasted him, and in your world, that is the only kind of victory there is. Take a moment and think back on the life you've led. It didn't begin with a crown. It began in a dark egg, fighting your way into existence only to immediately flee the scent of the mother who would have eaten you. You learned the world not as a landscape, but as a ghost language of molecules on your forked tongue, as a symphony of vibrations felt through your jawbone. You were never a ruler patrolling his domain. You were a cold-blooded engine, forever chasing a sliver of sunlight, constantly swinging on that metabolic pendulum between being too cold to move and too hot to live. Every inch of ground was earned through a grueling, full-body workout, and every meal was a violent struggle that left you bloated and helpless. Your power, that legendary status, was never what we imagined it to be. It was a masterful illusion. Your magnificent hood wasn't an act of aggression. It was a desperate question, a bluff played with the higher stakes. Your growl wasn't a roar of dominance. It was the sound of a closing tomb, a final warning to avoid a fight you knew you couldn't afford. Your venom, that golden ghost in your glands, was never an endless well of death. It was a metabolically precious currency you guarded with your life because wasting it meant starvation. You're not a god of the jungle. You are a masterpiece of risk management. A creature that learned true fear from a tiny mammal and knew the terror of being a blind prisoner in your own skin. And so we leave you, not as the monster of legend, but as the quiet, solitary survivor of this story. You wear no crown. Your only throne is the patch of sun you managed to steal between the shadows. Your only subjects are the scent trails you read in the air. You live a life of stark, silent loneliness, governed by cold, brutal mathematics. You wouldn't last a day, not because you're weak, but because this life isn't about strength. It's about a perfect, terrifying, moment-to-moment endurance that we can scarcely comprehend. The king cobra isn't a king because it rules the forest. It is a king because, against all odds, in a world that wants it dead, it simply stubbornly endures.